All right, you're welcome back to Rubbin Minds, and I have here a latecomer who was supposed to be here 37 minutes ago.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Really?
Toke Makinwa, thanks for being here today.
That's how we're starting our interview.
But you're late, I apologize.
Yeah, I think we missed a turn. It always happens to me, I don't know why. And then we now found ourselves so close to MFM. We had to make a
You're
U-turn.
trying to go to church?
I mean, I've been to church this morning, but I apologize for being late. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks for being here. I mean, you were one of my very first guests on the show, 2013.
I remember.
So 6 years later, sorry, 3 years later, you're here.
I remember.
Thanks for coming back. How's it going? How's everything?
It's been a whirlwind. Like, it's absolutely...
A lot has happened between then and now.
A lot has happened between then and now.
This being one of them?
Yes, yes.
Which is why you're here.
Which is why I'm here, and it's so exciting. Like, I cannot even begin to explain to you the outpour of... it's been so overwhelming. So many, the reception has been really great, and big shoes for me to fill in. So I'm taking each day as it comes and just trying to work through it.
Great stuff. On becoming, I mean, I like everybody has probably told you, I read the book in about 2 hours. I mean, it's something you pick up and you...
It was done on purpose because we wanted, I mean, there's always that big issue. When I was writing this book, there was the big issue of Nigerians don't read, you know, and I thought, okay, first to start with, I did not even know that I was writing a book. You know, it was just thoughts on how my day went sometimes.
So was it a memoir you kept? Because people have asked, how do you get these dates accurate? Are you sure this is this? So did you keep a memoir over these years?
I wouldn't say we completely keep a memoir over the years. I'd say, I mean, I went through something really profound last year, and it was very strange to sort of just have all of the noise all around me and trying to just steady myself, find my way, pace myself, and find my way out of that funk. So in the process of doing that, sometimes it will be voice notes. So it didn't start on the notion of I'm going to write a book. It was just
dropping things here and there.
It was just, no, it was for me. It was sort of therapeutic, just for me to get through what I was going through. And then when I came out on the other side, there was this wealth of, okay, so what is this? Should we turn it into a book? And then I reached out to, you know, Bobo, who had done this before. And he thought, this is such an amazing idea, we should definitely go for it. So it's basically me giving back. Because, you know, over the years, the platform has grown bigger. And, you know, have a huge following now. And regardless of how well we like to sit down and act like our lives are perfect, these things happen. So Becoming, the book, is basically my journey and my controlling my narrative. Do you know what I mean? Like,
were you not worried, though? I mean, about how honest you were. I mean, even I was reading, I'm like, oh, did I really need to know that? Did you think you were shared at any point?
I felt like that was the only way, because if you watch the visual, we had like a visual before we dropped the book, and it was shot by a great film director, Kemi, and in there it says, to become, I must shed it all. And when Kemi brought the treatment for that video, I was like, whoa, you know, to bear it down, to taking off my wig and my eyelashes, that's what it was. I felt like people had different ideas of who they thought Toke Makinwa is. And, you know, going through what I went through last year, I heard so many things. Do you know what I mean? People were talking, I would be in places that people would talk about me, and I'm like, wow, this is my life. So it was, if I had to do this, it had to come from a very honest place.
I mean, I remember seeing you, I think it was a couple of days actually after the news broke about your ex-husband. I don't know if, are you guys divorced now? Let's start with that.
Estranged is a nice word to use.
Okay, you're estranged. Your husband then. And it was a couple of days after the news broke about Anita being pregnant, and I saw you, I think it was an event at Alara, and I was one of those people who didn't know, what am I going to say now? Do I go say hi? And you actually said, Ebuka, you've heard now. And that threw me off. I'm like, does this mean she's taking it well? But now I read this and I realized that you were, I mean, you had to do work on that, but you're actually also going through stuff.
Yes, you know, what was so funny is, I mean, the book on Becoming takes you on a journey, unscripted, lets you into my world and lets you know that, you know, gone where the whole, you know, you meet people that will say to me, how you look so strong. Oh my God, you're at work. You're so strong. You're so strong. And I had to let the world know I wasn't always strong. I was drowning.
How are you now?
I'm amazing.
Very important, because
I have a great support system, my family members, my friends, people. You know, this has been such a journey. I am great.
Because before I came on the show, I put out on Twitter, I'm like, what questions should I ask Toke? And someone said, imagine. I should ask you the report they put you in, have they brought you out of it? Basically, that is because everybody has the impression that, I mean, this is not, like we say in Nigeria, it wasn't clear eye. pretty much. So are you okay now? Are you
I'll say
completely out
to you
of it?
that, I mean, when someone asked me a question recently and the person said, you know, is there anything you'd like to do different? And I said, no. You know, and I shared that on my Instagram page this morning as well. In my journey, I've learned that, the greater the pain, the higher the purpose. And the purpose has carved itself out for me. And I realized that I walk into places and people can unburden themselves. We need to take off those masks. We need to encourage people to speak out more. You know, in Nigeria and as Africans, we have this thing where they say to you, strength is in silence, is in carrying and acting like you're not about to break, is in standing there and letting the world just not see you break. But the most beautiful thing about being vulnerable is it's actually strength. People can then relate with you and say, if this person walked this path and came out on the other side, surely I wouldn't break in this fire. And that's basically the message of Unbecoming.
Wow.
I mean, and my spirituality as well.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, there's a lot of that. I wanted to talk about the chapter, of course, about your parents and all of that, and what it took you to write about that. Of course, with your new family and your new parents,
well,
like you talked about now. I mean, how did they react to this, family in particular? Because you also talked about them.
Yes, I mean, they're very private people, you know. So it was a really big deal, you know. And you know, I was 8 when this happened, and the crop of 8-year-olds you have today are much smarter, much, you know, outgoing than the 8-year-olds that we were as children. So this was a tragedy. You know, they both died in their 30s. And my mom, who's always been in our lives, Big Mommy, who I refer to in the book, she'd always been at every birthday. So it wasn't a transition that was so difficult because, you know, she's always been in our lives. And her husband, Big Daddy, who, you know, off the bat didn't think about it, just says, yeah, I'm going to do this. Like, did not even think about it, and had 4 children that he had to raise, and he raised us no different. You know, I look at them and I feel I didn't write much about them because they are also private people. Do you know what I mean? And it is tough. You know, what happened to me made me realize that there were so many things that I hadn't dealt with. You know how sometimes in life we carry so many baggages and you don't even know you're carrying those baggages till something really happens that jolts you back to reality. So, you know, I wrote about my parents. That chapter in particular, I couldn't write for 2 weeks. After I wrote it, because I was back there again, and I realized that I hadn't forgiven myself for being angry at them, and I realized that, you know, if they had the opportunity, I don't think anyone would want to die, you know. So it is, I can't talk about it without even breaking down, because you know, it was tough for all of us, even for my parents, you know, because
I'm sure it was.
My mom had a best friend who she would speak to every single night. Big Mommy would call after 9 o'clock news. That was their thing, and both of them would chat till the phones both, you know, drop on each end. So having to see her struggle without showing that she's struggling as well. You know, God has been faithful, I must say, and I also wanted to share that for anyone who's dealing with loss, because the thing about loss is sometimes you don't even know how it affects you. I was rebellious as a child growing up. I was tough to raise, you know, and I didn't realize that those were the things that were showing up in different areas, but until when I wrote about it, it was also sort of closure for me as well. When I say that I feel hurt because I don't want to forget them, but it was necessary that my dad died on the way to become, you know, which is why the title of the book is also very significant to me. I mean, this is a man who worked with the government. You know, in the night he would go to law school. He was, people ask me where my work ethics come from. It was inborn, do you know what I mean? So he died before he actualized his dreams. So for me, I held on to my last name even while I was married. People thought, you know, you're doing this for the brand. But I was doing this because I felt like I owe it to him. There should be a Makinwa that should become
doing something.
You know, that should do something. So wherever he is, I hope he's proud of his little girl. And
I'm sure he definitely is. I mean, you've done very well for yourself. But I'm sure you've gotten a lot of feedback since this book has been put online, in person.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot that's been said.
As expected.
Yeah, as expected. I'm sure you did expect that. The one thing I think that has come up a lot is lawsuits. People have wondered